2011 has been an interesting year in terms of catastrophes, and it's put the markets into a state of flux, says Michael Carr, Senior Vice President of Excess and Surplus Property for Liberty Mutual Underwriters. Carr says the unusual year in catastrophes and changes in modeling have created some challenges in the business.
Well, the description that I've heard is the market is going sideways. And what that means is it's not going up or down, it's really staying steady. The catastrophes that have occurred throughout the globe, throughout the country, the world, and especially in the U.S. have been major catastrophes that have really put a lot of markets into flux. What's going on is there have been catastrophes that have taken place in areas that are not usually the case. You look at the Midwest storms that have taken place in St. Louis, throughout the Midwest, those are major occurrences. So what has happened is those occurrences has not just been in 2011, it's been over the last 4 to 5 years. So now you have a situation where people are looking at saying, how do we make money in those areas? And it's becoming challenging. In addition to that, you had the changes that have occurred with the models. And what that's taken place is RMS, EquiCat, and AIR have made changes to the models. The general premises is that the inland movement of storms have been even further inland. So the changes have really increased the total aggregates that companies have seen in their portfolios. So what does that impact? It impacts the amount of capital that's necessary to write cat business. There are a lot of things that we are really being pressed together. You have the economy that's not doing well. We have the volatility from the long-term event, the cat events that have occurred. We have the models that have changed. So what does all that mean? It's a market that is going to be in flux for a while because the capital requirements that are required to write cat business today is a lot more than it was 6 to 8 months ago. So companies are in the process of recalibrating their cat portfolios. At the same time, they have to deal with the regulatory bodies to say, okay, how much capital is really needed to support their writings. So right at this moment, I think there's a tremendous amount of flux in the marketplace. But long term, everyone has to deal with the same issues. And it's how do you deal with and execute is what's going to happen in the market long term.
With the increased number of catastrophes over the last few years, there has been a lot of talk about risk mitigation and what role the industry should be playing.
Number one, we have to have a conversation in the industry in general that there's some exposure based on the construction, based on the risks that are exposed are really almost uninsurable. Now, in the E&S marketplace, we have the ability to insure those risks, but we would take it in small bites. But we should be pushing for better construction codes. We should be pushing for better mitigation when it comes to distance to coast, the type of construction that's required in those areas. So we should be a proponent to help the industry and also the regulatory bodies to understand that there's some exposure that we're not able to insure at a price that's reasonable for a customer.